Did you know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a #1 Saturday morning cartoon TV show, the #1 top-grossing independent film ever when released in 1990, a #1 best-selling toy line above G.I. Joe and Barbie, the #1 Nintendo and Game Boy video games, and the #1 kids' breakfast cereal in the whole world? This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, everything you need to know. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my Ninja Turtles channel for more Ninja Turtles videos like this. There's a bunch of different iterations of the Turtles, and they all have their own continuity and canon, so let's start at the very beginning. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by two friends, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman. Michelangelo was the first turtle they drew, and they self-published the first Ninja Turtles comic book in 1984 through their own company, Mirage Studios. The first print run of the comic book was around 3,000 copies, and it sold out. The book was black and white, and it had a big, unique size. The comic book was a parody and celebration of Daredevil, Ronin, Jack Kirby, and Frank Miller, and anthropomorphic comic book characters. 4 Pet Shop turtles are accidentally covered in ooze, and they mutate into humanoid turtles. The co-creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird produced the first 11 issues and a few other Ninja Turtles comics together, but after this they brought in guest artists and guest writers to create Ninja Turtles comics, known as the Guest Era. Kevin and Peter reunited to create issues 50 through 62, the City at War arc. The first volume of the comics contains 62 issues plus a few other Turtles comics. The Turtles comic books also introduced Master Splinter and allies like their friends April O'Neil and Casey Jones, and enemies like Shredder, Baxter Stockman, and Karai. The comic was a big success and led to a kids' cartoon TV show that premiered in 1987 and an action figure toy line. The Turtles' personalities were further developed, and the Ninja Turtles were given multicolored bandanas. Leonardo wears blue, Donatello wears purple, Raphael wears red, and Michelangelo wears orange. The TV show had an amazing theme song that describes the Turtles. Leonardo leads, Donatello does machines, Raphael is cool but rude, and Michelangelo is a party dude. The theme song was co-written by Chuck Lorre, who went on to work on many sitcoms, including The Big Bang Theory. The cartoon TV show introduced Turtles' love of pizza and lasted 10 seasons from 1987 to 1996. The catchphrase Cowabunga was introduced in the show and came from a Peanuts comic strip. Seasons 8 through 10, the Red Sky seasons, had a darker, mature feel with more continuity compared to the standalone one-and-done episodes of earlier seasons. The voice actors for Leonardo and Michelangelo are in every episode, but other voice actors switched in and out. The show was an incredibly huge, unbelievable success on all levels, and so is the line of Ninja Turtles action figures that came out in conjunction with the 1987 cartoon TV show. A live-action Ninja Turtles movie was released in 1990 that became the most successful independent movie ever upon its release. The movie used costumes created by Jim Henson, famous Muppet puppeteer. The movie was directed by Steve Barron, who's behind many popular music videos including Billie Jean by Michael Jackson and Take On Me by a-ha. A TMNT sequel movie came out in 1991 called Secret of the Ooze, and a third movie in 1993. There were also several extremely popular arcade games and at-home console games that came out during the 80s and 90s. These were later collected in the Cowabunga collection. Between the comics, cartoon TV show, the toys, video games, and the movies, the Ninja Turtles were the most popular franchise around the world in the early 90s. This was called Turtlemania. The Ninja Turtles even had a #1 live touring musical show in the 90s called Coming Out of Their Shells, amidst other musical projects like We Wish You a Turtle Christmas. Another comic book run, Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, lasted 7 issues. There was also a line of comics from Archie called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures that lasted 72 issues. There was a second volume of comics from Mirage Studios that were written and drawn by Jim Lawson, which were done in color and lasted 13 issues. The Turtles comics then moved to Image Comics for 23 black and white issues in the mid to late 90s for a third volume of Ninja Turtles comics. The Image Comics, known as Volume 3, made physical changes to each turtle to differentiate them, including Donatello becoming a cyborg, Raphael losing an eye, and Leonardo getting his hand chopped off. 20 years later, these comics were collected as the Urban Legends reprints, and 3 additional issues were written and drawn by the original creative team. There was a live-action TV series that lasted 1 season in the late 90s, The Next Mutation, that was produced by the same company that produced the Power Rangers. This TV show introduced a 5th female turtle named Venus de Milo. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird grew apart over the years and probably experienced some professional and personal tension. Their silly comic book that they drew as a goof in their living room had exploded into a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and it was probably really stressful on their relationship. Kevin Eastman sold his ownership of the Turtles to Peter Laird in the late 90s, and the two went their separate ways to an extent. Nothing Ninja Turtles was produced in the year 2000, at all. Peter Laird started the 4th volume of the Ninja Turtles comics with Mirage Studios starting in 2001, and this run is currently unfinished at 32 black and white issues. There was also a second volume of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that lasted 70 issues. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came back to TV in 2003 with an all-new cartoon TV show which lasted 7 seasons. Season 6 was retooled as Fast Forward, and the final season is known as Back to the Sewer. 7 comic book issues from Dreamwave were released with this show. There was a CGI Ninja Turtles movie called TMNT in 2007, which was accompanied by 5 prequel comics. There were a lot of awesome action figures released around this time to support the show and the movie. There was also a multiverse kind of movie called Turtles Forever that came out in 2009. Several Ninja Turtles video games also came out during this period. Peter Laird sold the Ninja Turtles to Nickelodeon, which is now owned by Paramount, in 2009 for a reported $60 million. Peter Laird still retains the right to publish 18 black and white comic book issues per year, but pretty much everything else was sold. A new Ninja Turtles comic book came out in 2011 from IDW Publishing that has produced over 150 issues. And almost as many issues contained in side series and supplemental miniseries. It's the longest running Turtles comic by far, and it has a really interesting reimagined origin story for the Turtles. There was also a video game called Mutants in Manhattan that came out in 2016 that featured the Turtles with a design similar to their comic counterparts. A new computer-animated Turtles cartoon premiered in 2012 that lasted for 5 seasons. The 5th season of the show was known as Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The voice actor for Raphael in the 1987 cartoon series also voiced Donatello in the 2012 TV show. A lot of action figures, toys, video games, and merchandise was released in combination with this TV show. There were also 2 2012 show-related comic book series, New Animated Adventures and Amazing Adventures. 2 Ninja Turtles movies produced by Michael Bay came out in 2014 and 2016. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. It was rumored that the Turtles would be aliens before the first movie came out. Somewhere around this time, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird rekindled their personal relationship and seemed to be on good terms. A new cartoon TV show called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles premiered in 2018 and lasted a season and a half. A Rise of the TMNT movie came out in 2022. A Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie came out in 2019. There were a bunch of action figures released for the Michael Bay movies, Rise of the TMNT, and the Batman vs. Turtles movie. A dark 5-issue comic miniseries called The Last Ronin was published in 2020 where 4 new turtles are introduced. Yi, Uno, Moya, and Odin, the next generation of Ninja Turtles. There's also going to be a Last Ronin video game. The Ninja Turtles movie, Mutant Mayhem, came out in 2023 and will be followed by a video game, 2 seasons of a TV show, and a film sequel. The Ninja Turtles made over $1 billion in 2023 alone, and 2024 is the 40th anniversary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so I'm expecting a huge wave of Turtle Mania. Over the past 40 years, there have been thousands of Ninja Turtles action figures and toys, over 1,000 Turtles comic books, hundreds of TV show episodes, dozens of video games, a dozen movies, and more random merchandise than anyone could ever ask for. But the most important part of the Ninja Turtles story, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are still friends to this day.